morning, traders. Welcome to Beyond Profile. Today is Monday, and it is May 23rd. We have a gap down this morning due to some issues in Europe again. With some issues. So we're coming into some areas on the S&P to the downside here that would be crucial. We talked about this on Friday, as a matter of fact, in the room, that if we didn't stay above the 1340 level, the high volume node for the month, that we would start testing the bottom end of this. And there's really not much in here until we get down to the whole number 1300. This could turn into a larger balance area on the daily time frame, because you had multiple months here, both March and April, where the composite profile was right around that 27 number, if you remember right. If we took these three composites for this month, you'd come up with a point of control of right around 2750s. So looking more to the downside, reference points, you've got two nakeds, 1300 and 1302. Now the question is are we going to push back up to fill the gap this morning? I don't think so. I would be shocked today, because it's a devastation gap. We're down 12 points. There would have to be some really good news. Do we get the gap fill sometime during the week? We may or we may not. It's just that it depends on whether we have any buyers at the open to take us into that area. I mean, clearly from a structure standpoint, as we were talking on Friday, it's, you trade in the direction of the point of control, and clearly the way we were closing, we weren't going higher. We were talking about that. If I had to guess which direction we were going, it would have been short. There would have been no way I would have been long going into the weekend, just because we already started to get some wind of some of the Greece issues on Friday. So there would have been again no reason. So we're coming back to retest the lows here. What do we have in the way of any major significant key reference areas down here to the downside? High volume at 1150 on the S&P. Take a look at my we were still looking for that gap fill. That's right. Gap fill on the regular session is at 0850s. So 0850s, we could draw a line here actually. 0850s, we have a gap fill on the regular session right here. There's a gap fill right there. So it's technical gap fill. So I'm going to be looking for new lows. We got an adjustment of value down here at the 12s. So 8s, 4 more points lower, and then maybe a bounce out of there. So we would focus on the short side, even pre-market here, shorting into the 18s to 20s, and looking for that move back down. So I'm looking at 08s. It looks like 16s were last week's lows. We're already through those. We got 1150 as a major high volume area on the composite. So again, that area at 8 to 11s, when we get down there, we'll maybe look to be a responsive buyer in those markets. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ, because this one here just came right into last week's lows and then bounced. All right, here's the NASDAQ. As you can see, we're taking out yesterday, or I should say last week's lows there that was at 17 3/4. Where we talked about coming into the top end of this prior value area, which would put us right at 10.5 as the gap fill, which we didn't get last time. So that would be the technical gap fills right there on the NASDAQ. So 10.5, 8.5 respectively, NASDAQ ES for gap fills this morning, and would look for probably a responsive long out of those areas the very first time into them, because we should get a bounce out of the gap fill. That'll act as a little quasi support area, if you will, for demand to step into the marketplace. So again, look at the volume over top of us on the NASDAQ. What's the least path of resistance? Clearly it's down. All right, clearly it's down. The old sell in May and go away has been playing out. The seasonality again in the marketplace right to a T, as usual. Many again don't want to believe it. We had a big IPO last week, thinking the markets just want to keep right on going. Well, things are changing. All right, things are changing. So it doesn't mean that everything is falling apart here. We could go into a summertime auction where we just broaden the range, if you will, of a little bit larger balance area, and it may be a couple hundred points. It could be as low as down here to the 2200s to 24s. We'll have to see how this plays out. Our immediate area, though, is right back into this prior area of demand, which the low end of it is at 2288s. 2288s. All right, folks, have a good trading week, and we'll see you in the trading room.